My dad was dragged out of our house in Spider-Man pajamas, and by dinner, Richard Blakemore was using his coffee mug. I watched him slide into Dad's chair, speak with fake concern, and call me kiddo. That word made my skin crawl. I held Dad's old hoodie tighter that night. 6 months later, Richard is in maximum security. The hoodie still smells like survival. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Dad used to leave post-its in my lunchbox that said, "War means I love you" and "Dinosaur." I kept every single one in a show box. Before Richard moved in, he was just Mom's boss, polite, boring, but he cut my meat at dinner like I was 5, and called me kiddo like he owned me. I ignored it. Mom said we needed help. Now, it feels like he rehearsed every step to replace Dad. I remember the last day Dad picked me up from school. He brought bubble tea and joked about failing his yoga class. That night, he gave me his hoodie because I said it smelled like him. Hours later, the cops came. Richard arrived minutes after. "Is she okay?" he asked, hand on Mom's back like it was normal. I thought he was being kind. I didn't see the way his eyes lingered on me. Richard started watching my soccer games, always in sunglasses, always clapping too hard. I wound dead there. When I asked Mom if we could visit him, Richard said, "Your father needs space to reflect." I said nothing, but said Dad's plays at dinner every night. Tara, my coach, noticed. She pulled me aside, said something felt off. I told her Richard was just weird. She didn't believe me, and I wasn't sure I believed myself. He changed our Wi-Fi name to Blakemore House. I stared at it, stunned. When I asked why, he said, "Easier to remember." Mom laughed, like it was nothing. At school, I wrote about Dad for English class. The teacher called a meeting. My obsession concerned them. Richard showed up, all smiles, saying I was adjusting slowly. They nodded. I walked out. That night, I hid Dad's post-its in my backpack. Nobody was taking those from me. Richard bought me a tablet for school, preloaded with tracking apps. I disabled them. He noticed. "Tech-savvy hut," he said, smirking. I asked to visit Dad again. He said the court denied it. No record. At therapy, the counselor asked why I didn't want to bond with my new father figure. I choked. When Mom saw me crying, she said I should try harder. That night, I taped a post-it to the fridge. "Help me." Tara offered to take me home one day. I agreed, desperate for air. When we pulled into the driveway, Richard was already waiting. "Unexpected carpool?" he asked, voice tight. Tara smiled, unfazed. I coached her I care. That night, I heard him yelling at Mom about boundaries. The next morning, Tara was reassigned. No explanation. At school, my locker was trashed. Someone wrote "Daddy's girl" in red marker. I knew it wasn't just teenage cruelty. Richard suggested a family photo shoot. I refused. He bought matching outfits anyway. Mom begged me to smile. "Marina." I wore the hoodie instead. The photographer kept calling Richard Dad. I corrected her each time. Afterward, Richard whispered, "Nobody's buying the act, kiddo." At night, I cut the photo into pieces and flushed it. I kept only the scrap with my hoodie showing. It felt like the last thing that made me still me. The turning point came with a glitch. Richard left his laptop open. I saw a hidden folder labeled "C. Calloway." Inside were surveillance screenshots. Me, in my room, sleeping. My stomach flipped. I printed them and ran to Mom. She stared blank. "He protects us." She whispered. I yelled, begged her to see. She slapped the papers from my hand. Richard came in seconds later. "Calm, having a rough day." I didn't sleep at all that night. I mailed the photos to myself, then to Tara's private address. She replied, "Get out." Now, I waited until Richard left for a trip. I packed my hoodie, post-its, and a flash drive. I ran to the community center, breathless, but Richard was already there, smiling, holding Coco. "Let's talk." Just as my heart pounded, Tara burst through the door, followed by 2 officers. "Not this time," she snapped. Richard's smile faded. That was his first loss. At the station, they took my statement. The officers barely hid their skepticism. Any proof of caution? I handed over the flash drive. One whispered, "Damn." Still, they said they needed more. Richard called Mom nonstop. She didn't pick up. I begged the officers, "Let me talk to Dad. He's still under a gag order," they said. My breath caught. Even now, Richard controlled the narrative, but I knew I wasn't alone anymore. Not really. The court hearing was set. Richard arrived in a gray suit, looking smug. I wore the hoodie. Tara sat beside me. My knees shook. Richard's lawyer dismissed me as a troubled teen seeking attention. Then they played Dad's voicemail, Richard threatening him. The room changed. Aghast, the judge leaned forward. Richard's face cracked. Mom clutched her purse so tight her knuckles whitened. The courtroom didn't feel safe, but it felt different, like truth had taken root. The judge ordered a psychiatric evaluation. Richard snapped, yelling, blaming me, claiming I'd seduced the court. Security restrained him. Mom finally spoke. I believed in the wrong man. Her voice trembled. I felt everything: terror, relief, anger slam into me. Tara placed her hand on my shoulder. "You did it," she whispered. I clutched the hoodie like armor. Richard was taken away, screaming. The courtroom was silent. For the first time in months, I exhaled without shaking. I thought it was over. But KSBS showed up the next day. An anonymous tip, they said. Claims of emotional instability, self-harm, obsession. I sat stunned. Tara tried to intervene. They dismissed her as biased. They pulled me aside, asking if I felt safe at home. I laughed. To define home. I was placed in temporary care. That night, I found a hidden post-it in my bag. "Stay loud, kiddo. Love, Dad." It kept me breathing. In care, they monitored everything. No tech, no visitors. But I had my hoodie. One night, I tore the lining and found something hard, a mini flashcard. Dad must have hidden it. Tara smuggled a reader during donation hour. We loaded it on her laptop, files, recordings. A hidden journal, proof of Richard's manipulation from months before their arrest. Tara wept. This could change everything. I smiled for the first time in weeks. We had ammo now. The court granted a review hearing. I sat beside Tara, my hands trembling. Richard's lawyer tried blocking the flashcard files. Illegally obtained, he claimed. The judge asked me directly, "Did you know what you found?" I knew it was truth. I said. A silence. He allowed it. Richard glared, silent. The files revealed forged signatures, tampered records, coaching my therapist. It cracked everything. My chest felt like fireworks. The truth wasn't just out, it was undeniable. The media caught on. Headlines blazed. Corporate boss targets teen, frames father. My classmates texted apologies. One even said, "We believed him. I'm sorry." Mom moved in with Grandma. I returned to school, hoodie and all. The counselor gave me a soft smile. "Glad you're back." I nodded but didn't speak. My locker was cleaned. Inside, taped to the back wall, was a note. "War means I love you." It wasn't in my handwriting. A podcast picked up the story. Marina versus the Blakemore machine. They interviewed me in a quiet studio, mic close to my mouth. I shared everything: post-its, the hoodie, Tara's bravery, my dad's silence. The producer cried after it aired. Victims from other towns came forward. Richard had patterned similar setups. The state launched an investigation. I wasn't just a girl with a story, I was a warning bell, and I rang loud enough for others to answer. One night, a woman knocked on Grandma's door. She was trembling. My daughter, he worked with us. I didn't believe her. But your story, she broke down. We sat in silence. Then I gave her my last post-it. You're not alone. She clutched it like a lifeline. That moment shattered something cold in me. I wasn't just healing, I was helping. I had the scars, yes, but now I had something louder. Purpose. Richard's trial began. He arrived in shackles, hair thinner, smile gone. I testified first. My voice shook. But I didn't. He tried to erase my dad. He didn't win. The courtroom was packed. When I stepped down, people clapped. The judge didn't stop them. The jury looked at me like I mattered. I wasn't the scared girl from before. I was a witness, a fighter, a daughter, and I was louder than his lies. During recess, Richard's lawyer approached me. You sure you won this? Dragging out? He whispered. I stared him down. You mean justice? He flinched. Later, they tried to disqualify Tara as a witness. The judge overruled. Outside the courtroom, reporters swarmed. I looked straight into a camera. This isn't just about me. It's about every kid silenced by someone louder. My voice didn't shake. Neither did my hands. Richard finally looked scared. It felt earned. Evidence stacked up: emails, recordings, even forged documents from child services. Richard's network crumbled. One agent confessed, pressured by upper hands. My dad was cleared of all charges. The judge apologized. I watched him walk out of the courtroom free. He hugged me so hard I couldn't breathe. You saved me, he said. I held tighter. No, you saved me first. We didn't cry. We just stood there, hoodie between us, like it belonged to both. The DA announced charges against 3 more officials. My inbox filled with thank you messages, some from strangers, some from kids. You gave me courage, one said. I printed it and stuck it on the fridge. Mom and I went to family counseling. She cried for the first time in years. I let him in, she whispered. I let him hurt us. I forgave her, not for her but for me. The hoodie stayed on my chair. Dad and I started speaking at school's warning signs, recovery, truth. After one talk, a boy handed me a drawing, a dinosaur hugging a girl. I kept it. On stage, I'd hold the hoodie sometimes. Not as armor but memory. A girl once asked, how did you survive? I said, I believed one voice mattered even if it was shaking. That line spread online, a people message saying it helped. I didn't expect to become a voice, but I am. A documentary crew contacted me. They called it Stolen Fathers. I hesitated, then agreed. They filmed in my room by the hoodie, at Dad's new apartment. During the final shoot, I showed the showbox of post-its. The director cried. We didn't need a script, she said. After release, it went viral. Survivors shared their own symbols, bracelets, photos, drawings. A community formed. Not fans, not victims, voices. Together, we were louder than any lie ever told. The night before Richard's sentencing, I couldn't sleep. Dad made cocoa, like always. Still scared? He asked. No, I whispered, just waiting. We watched old home videos, me in dinosaur pajamas roaring. Dad laughed. I did too. In the morning, we sat in the front row. The judge listed every count, then paused. This wasn't just crime, it was calculated arrestor. Life sentence, no parole. I squeezed Dad's hand. He squeezed back. This time, no tears. Grandma threw a small celebration. Cupcakes, balloons, no cameras. Just family. Mom gave me a new hoodie, purple soft. You don't have to wear the old one anymore, she said. I smiled, hugged her, then went upstairs. I folded the original hoodie, placed it in a glass box. On the lid, I stuck the first post-it. War means I love you. That night, I wore the new hoodie. It didn't smell like fear, that smelled like tomorrow. College letters arrived. I opened one from you, full scholarship. Dad whooped. Grandma cried. Mom hugged me so tight I almost dropped the letter. I looked at the glass box, the hoodie inside. I'm ready, I whispered. That night, I packed my show box of post-its first, then books, photos. The new hoodie, my suitcase felt like armor. At the airport, a girl recognized me. You're the one from the doc, she said. I smiled, one of many. At New, I joined a survivors group. First meeting, I stayed silent. Second, I spoke. Third, I laid. We called ourselves the Echo. Each member brought a symbol, bracelet, charm, old notes. I brought a digital scan of a post-it. War means I love you. One girl cried. My dad said that too. I hugged her. We weren't broken, we were loud. Together we were thunder. That semester, I started drafting a book. Working title, Louder Than Lies. On the book's launch day, I wore the purple hoodie. The old one stayed home safe in its glass box. At the signing table, someone slid me a photo. Richard at their school. Years ago, he was grooming us too, they said. My heart clenched. But I nodded. We keep telling. I signed their copy, hugged them. That night, I read the last line aloud. This story is mine. But the Echo, that's all of us. I stood at the glass box, fingertips on the hoodie. It didn't just hold scent, it held proof I lived. Dad's courage taught me resistance. Tara's faith taught me fire. The post-its, they stitched my voice back together. I'm not who I was, I whispered, and I wasn't. I was louder, clearer. That girl with the hoodie, she's my origin, not my end. The world still holds shadows. I learned how to light matches. Every speech, every group I mentor, I carry Dad's hoodie story. Truth can be loud, I tell them. Even if your voice trembles. My scars didn't fade, but they stopped owning me. One day, I'll give the hoodie to someone who needs it more. Until then, it waits, folded, fierce, and ready. Richard's case became a landmark. Laws shifted, training increased, agencies restructured. His name's now a cautionary tale, footnote to our uprising. At panels, officials quote me, silence doesn't mean surrender. Dad works security for shelters. Atara opened a nonprofit. We're not the same, but we're united. I found peace not in justice, but in what came after, the power of one voice becoming many. At my final reading, I wore the purple hoodie. The last question came from a little girl. Are monsters real? I knelt beside her. They are, but so are dragons, and we fight back. She smiled. I handed her a blank post-it. Write your war. She hugged me. Backstage, I exhaled, full circle. The hoodie didn't smell like fear anymore. It smelled like victory. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.